From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, I'm Rob Cairns. I'm the founder, CEO, and Chief Digital Strategist at Stunning Digital Marketing. I hope everybody's having an amazing day. Today, I have my guest, Mr. Todd Jones, with me. And Todd and I are going to talk in his regular copywriting segment about what is the prompt. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. The SDM Show is brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, the digital marketing concierge that helps you put all your marketing pieces together. We are your marketing experts. We are also your WordPress security experts and know how to lock down a website and protect yourself from bad actors. So contact us at Stunning Digital Marketing today. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. And today I'm here with Mr. Todd E. Jones, and we're going to talk all about copywriting. Hey Todd, how are you today?
I'm in love with technology today, especially Zoom.
I'm having one of those days. And by the way, Zoom, if you're paying attention, give your support system a check because you guys are just awful. And I have a paid account, so that's beside the point. Today I thought,
this is something I've been thinking a lot about how we have outsourced, and that's not even a good word to use because outsource still requires confidence, but we have shortcutted customer experience in the last 40 years. I use customer experience as a bigger umbrella than customer service because
I agree.
Software companies and telecommunications companies, this is what happens when you have hundreds of millions and even Facebook's like 3 or 4 billion people, 5 billion people. We have that many customers, you can't actually support it. But if you're paying for it, you should be able to get some decent support. But it's
that's one reason in retail there's still a big demand for mom and pop or smaller stores. Like I look at my friends Robin and Phil on Ringleader Fine Jewelers in Pickering, Ontario, outside of Toronto, if anybody cares. And one reason they thrive is they provide service that big chains like the Michael Kohl's don't provide. So, service is a big deal. Today I thought we'd talk about, or you thought we'd talk about, how to use AI to write copywriting and write code and write, not code, but write text and write all of that.
Code. You can get Ryan on there to talk about writing about code.
But I meant more copywriting, and I use AI quite a bit, as you know. I'll write a newsletter and I'll toss it into AI. I'll write a web page. I have to admit, I'll toss it in AI quite often. I'll feed AI a page I've got and say, produce me a landing page for this. Where are you going and what do you think?
Well, the prompt was a week or so ago. Our friend Bridget put a post up on LinkedIn about somebody saying, well, why should I hire a writer when I can just use ChatGPT? And ChatGPT is just code for any AI tool for that matter. We've got lots of them out there. And I've used all of them at some point to help with this stuff.
Yep.
The problem is not going to be, will people write or use it to write? They will. It's the question is not that. It's how. So I'm like, if you're going to do it, then let's have some guardrails. Let's create, some stuff. And I have actually provided, I think it's a PDF, so you can just upload it to your site, link it, and they can download it free. No, it's not behind a gate or anything. A very simple blog post template, or not template, a prompt. Actually, prompt's not a good word for some of this stuff because we call it a prompt, which is very short and very like one line, whatever. Prompts are usually much more complex than that, especially when you're writing like a piece of content for a blog post. But I think you can use it to create content. As you looked at my show notes, I talked about having guardrails a little bit. And these are three things I think are absolutely crucial if you're going to do it. And again, it's not if, it's when. So it's more about how. The first thing is keep your point of view. People will talk about tone of voice, and in your template or in your prompt, you can put a tone of voice in there. But the big thing that's the first part, and we'll talk about how you can train your AI tool in a chat, because you can actually do an AI agent. Gemini calls them gems. ChatGPT calls them GPTs. Claude has one. U.com has one. Poe has one. You can create these agents and train them in your tone of voice, which long term is probably the better thing to do, to be honest with you. So, but you want to have your point of view. By that, the first thing I mean is have a hypothesis. So what a lot of people do is they'll just do an informational post, right? This is, and there's nothing wrong with having a post like, here's how you get a domain for your website. It's very practical. It's very, very short. And that really turns out to be more like a terminology or a glossary than anything. And they're needed. They're highly needed. And somebody's already written that out there. But how about having an opinion about getting a domain? That is your point of view. So, what are your recommendations about where they go, how to search for it, what kinds of domains to get? Some people are bullish on .com only. You got to have a .com. Some people are like, it's okay to try another. There's plenty of what do they call it? The .co, the .io, the .buzz.
The domain.
Yeah, and I know a guy who has a domain extension, like his .buzz. Actually, I think he has more than one, but that's the big one. And he lives here in Conway, the whole thing. And I did some work for him. So .co. Some people shy away from those, and I totally get it.
My personal website is a .xyz. So yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but some people are bullish on it. But what's your opinion about this? So put that in the article. Keep your opinion. Just make sure you put that opinion. Also, of course, have your tone of voice or how you talk, how you got it. Because frankly, if you have created a lot of content along the way, or you've had content created, or your company's had content created, and you put out something written in AI that is totally opposite, people will smell that. They may not understand exactly what it is, but they'll know this doesn't sound like stunning digital marketing at all. Well, one thing you can do, and I learned this from Nathan Frazier and one of his things, and he learned it from another copywriting AI guy, Jason Parker. And one thing you can do is upload a piece of your content to kind of train the chat on your style, and it'll do that for you. In fact, even before you write the article, you could probably upload 2 or 3 pieces and say, hey, can you describe my tone of voice and how I would put it in a prompt for me? And it'll assess it and it'll describe it. Then you can just copy and save it in your prompt bin. I have a hub in Notion with prompts that I've accumulated. You want to save that. But if you've gotten an agent, whether you use a GPT or a gem to Gemini or Poe or whatever, you can actually upload all that stuff and let it be trained to do your tone of voice. But what's crucial, there's 2 sides to keeping your point of voice, your point of view. There's 2 sides to that. One, your tone of voice, right? How you sound. Don't lose that. And then your opinion, basically. That's what a point of view is, an opinion. And actually, a lot of times when you write a piece of content, you may have a hypothesis. That is a huge point of view. So that's the first one. Did you want to say something?
No, I'm listening.
Okay. Second one, I'm gonna kind of sort of quote somebody who is president of a CEO of an AI tool that I have been testing lately. But in most cases, your AI, you got to keep this in mind, is not a one-click wonder AI tool. So what a lot of people will do is they'll go to their AI tool and they'll say, you are an expert content writer, blah, blah, blah. Here's my tone of voice. And I want you to write me an article about the best case use of getting a domain. And then AI will do the legwork. They'll go out, get the information, pull it in, assimilate it, turn it into an article. Pretty nifty, right?
Yep.
The first problem is what we just got to mention. It does not include your point of view. You have no opinion. You have no hypothesis. Right. So in my opinion, and this opinion, so here's my point of view, you should do, at the very least, go out and you can use AI to assist you in this, but you do your research, right? You have a point of view. You can write your point of view down very, very archaically, like pull up a notebook and say, well, this is my point of view, step one, this step, you kind of create your point of view. And then you can create your outline. I call this a data dump. It's like when I do an article, a long form article, I'm usually starting, and I have a throwaway document because I've accumulated facts and information and sources, and then I start to formulate an outline. From all that, you can create a rough, very, very rough draft, and then drop it in the AI and do the editing, that kind of thing. If you want, you can just drop a data dump in there and have it to create something for you.
The only problem with doing that, though, is if you take your data dump and say the AI create it for me, it still doesn't take your emotion or your tone of voice or your writing style or any of that. And that's the issue, right?
Yeah, and so I think the best thing to do is write that first draft, even if it's terrible. In fact, the trick that I do is I use Notepad in Windows, but if you're in Mac, I think there's an equivalent of that where you don't have really anything to, except for a little spelling, you can turn that off. You don't have anything, you just type, right? It's kind of distraction free. You're not worried about editing stuff. In fact, don't edit. Do as much as you can. That's actually how copywriters of old did. They wrote the first draft. Even authors, people who write fiction, do the same thing. They write the first draft, the editor edits, or they edit, whatever. Yep. You're writing that very, very, very rough first draft, and you can then use that AI to help create, smooth that out a little bit. But again, the first rule is in play. Don't lose your point of view. Don't lose your tone of voice. Those two things are crucial. And so don't treat it like a wonder tool. Don't don't shortcut it and let AI do the work for you. You go and do the work. What you're using AI to do is help you with the process and to help you edit the process. Number 3, edit. Edit and edit some more. There is a very, very simple edit prompt that I use, which I could probably actually expand on it and make it better, but I haven't done it. I go to Claude because Claude is the best editing for writing AI that everybody says, and those who've tested said it's better. That's not to say Gemini and ChatGPT aren't good. They are good. Claude just that seems to be the best use case for Claude. And this is what I say: edit the content to be clear, concise, and compelling. And then I drop the content below and I let it go. Sometimes I'll give it parameters. Like when I'm doing email newsletter, I'm like, hey, I do not want you to change the spirit of this. Sometimes I'll say, I just want you to edit any spelling or bad grammar mistakes, little things I miss. And it'll do that. It'll leave it intact, which I'm very thrilled with. And sometimes I'll say, this really needs to be cleaned up. It needs to be more, it's too long. It needs to be clear, concise, and compelling. Those 3 words are very, I learned that from Autumn Tompkins, the grumpy grammarian, when I had her on a podcast years ago. So, and you can create a better prompt. You can give it more parameters for what you want to do. And there is one that you can do after to quote unquote humanize content. So I have that somewhere. I could share that as well. But the reality is, you want to keep your point of view, your opinion, about the piece. If you have a hypothesis, you want to make sure to include your tone of voice. That's number one. Number two, you don't treat it like a one-click wonder AI tool. You are doing the work with it. You are letting it help you in the process. You can literally go from a 4 to 5 hour article probably to a couple hours with the help and assistance of AI. You can dramatically cut in half. And number three is to always edit.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. So if you use the same AI tool, like let's take Gemini, for example, and I use that AI tool all the time, won't the AI tool get used to your voice if you're logged in or not?
It depends on if you are using a pro version, then it should have memory. I know ChatGPT, it will remember you.
It does.
If you're on the free plan, like I am, it will remember like high level details, but not specific. So sometimes I have to go back and tell it. If you are paying for the pro, it very well probably will remember you. That's why it's really probably, if you're going to do it on a regular basis, you might consider making a gem if you're using Gemini, and then just train it to your voice and how you talk. And you can do that literally by saying, here is some content. Like, here's 5 or 6 pieces of content. It'll know how you sound and how you are, and it'll replicate that whenever. And if you leave it in that gem, in that GPT, that AI agent, it will know that every time you come back. So that is I know people who do this. They actually do this for customers, and they create a AI agent, and that's the broader term, because every AI tool has one. They call it something different. ChatGPT, they call it GPT. Gemini, it's called gems. I'm not sure what Claude calls it. Poe has one, Poe.com, and even you.com. And depending on your plan and what it accounts for, you can usually to utilize those very much, you have to have a paid plan of some kind. So that's something to keep in mind. But if you're going to do it, if you have a free account on all those, then I would just recommend getting a document either in Google or Notion. Put all your all the different bits of your prompt in there, and then when you go in and do it, you can just go. So I have a couple of stories about how I've used AI to create content. First one is I got asked in December to do some emails for a customer that, it's a friend of ours that you and I know. And she wasn't very uber specific on this stuff, but she just wanted something that kind of sounded like her. And so basically in the process, I built a persona for her. And I created a template of a prompt for her. And it was based on things she likes, like trivia and like types of music, so that we would have something to use for storytelling, right? So and then I create a format for these emails, and I call it a showcase, or it's really a mini case study email. It's like, hey, we just did this project, and this is what, blah, blah, blah. And we did a hook at the beginning, which is based on one of her, the things one of the emails we did was something from Frasier, because she was a big Frasier fan. So it was a good experience for me because it helped me learn how to actually begin to consider using a prompt. And people idea. I know who do these for regular customers, they basically create their own agent for them, and Poe or whatever. The second one is I have a customer in my web agency that from time to time she'll go do something kind of lifestyle oriented, like went to the theater and we saw this play and we went eat here. And so it's not authority content. It's not something that's going to drive SEO for her, but it's kind of a connection building with her clientele on her blog. Gives her something to talk about. And so I call it a lifestyle or a community prompt. And that's the one I'm actually sharing with you, that you'll upload. And so what I would do, and really honestly, the prompt I just shared with you is far better than anything I use. But basically I would tell her, I said, look, I need you to tell me the story. So I need the who, what, when, where, how, and when. Because sometimes she glosses over that stuff, and you have to like prompt her. There's that word again. I have to prompt her to tell me these things. So I will take it, and usually, the last time I did, I used Claude. And it's like, hey, this is this is from the perspective of the owner. It's a lifestyle blog. I only need to be 500-600 words. I mean, it doesn't need to be long. I want it to be more than 300 words, and it did it. It created a form. It used a simple format. It did it, and I really, honestly, didn't do a specific prompt. To be honest, it was kind of a this is what I need to do. May have to do a little bit of conversation with it, but it handled it fine. Well, the prompt I gave you that you're gonna put in the show notes is a little bit more comprehensive than that, because I realize some people may need to add other stuff. It's a very good prompt. I'm going to use this from now on. But this particular type of content, again, it's not authority-driven content. It's not something that you're going to use to like grow your traffic from an SEO standpoint, but it is kind of a connection building, and you can use it. So as a business owner, you went to a recent trade show. You went to a networking thing. I know you do that a lot of times. Toronto,
Quite a
lot
bit.
of stuff you go to. Maybe you did go out. Maybe you went to watch the hockey game with a customer. Something like that. It's very lifestyle oriented, so it's perfect for recapping that and using it on your blog to kind of a connection point with your customer. So that is something that created, and you will have the show notes for your listeners.
That's really good, Todd. And we'll share that prompt with you in the show notes. There'll be a link right up at the top that says resources, and you can grab that. And thank you for sharing that. Any other tips?
Like I said, I have the humanizing prompt. I need to go find that and share it with you as well. That would be like afterwards. So if you get it and you go, this seems a little too clinical to me, that's the word I use, clinical. Then I need to humanize it, or maybe you created something and you think it sounds too clinical. You can use the humanized prompt, but I found it somewhere online, so it's not unique to me. But you can play around. You can adjust the humanized prompt to your own desires to kind of make it sound less clinical. But although, like you said, the AI tools now, they have progressed so far in the last year or two, and they do sound a little bit more human than they used to. And so anyway, there you go.
Hey, Todd, thanks for sharing. And people, you need to think about what is really the prompt, and what are you using and how are you doing it? And the more you use prompts, the better you'll get at them. I know I use AI every day like Todd does, and I know my prompts have become more specific over time and more directive, and that's working really well. So try it out. Go over to ChatGPT, go over to Gemini, go over to Perplexity, go somewhere and figure it out. And by the way, the prompts even matter when you're doing, and I know it's kind of out of scope of this, but it's worth mentioning. The prompts even matter when you're doing stuff like images. The more specifics you give it, the better the images are. So I'll tell you that for sure.
Some prompts are better at seeing and describing an image than others, and so I get to be where I do a shortcut a lot, and I will take my friend Lily, who might be fun to have on the show sometime. She they did a video, her and Nathan, a while back, and I told her, I said, "You look like a Disney mafia boss." And she said, "What? A Disney mafia boss?" Because she had a little skirt on and she looked cute, but she was put her hands on her hips and she had the straight face. And I'm like, so I went to Grok and I dropped it in. I said, "Hey, I want you to make this picture a cartoon, basically, and something like that." Grok is really good at that. And so it made and I did one with ChatGPT as well. I did two, one with ChatGPT and one with Grok. Grok spits those out faster. ChatGPT gets lagged behind with images, and sometimes you don't get them. So it's a lot of fun to do something like that. Another thing I did real quick, and I'll close with this. I know we both got to get on to the next call, but our friend Ross Simmons, who's from over in the eastern part of Canada, he put out this like ultimate guide top article of Reddit for marketing. And I'm like, oh man, this is cool. I need to summarize it. to get the TLDR for it, right? Too long to read, didn't read. And so I went to Gemini for this. So I said, hey, can you summarize this for me? Well, it summarized it. All right. It was very clinical. And I'm like, oh man, I'm just not grasping. I said, treat this like you're teaching it to me. That's kind of like what I said. I mean, it wasn't much more than that. And it turned it into a complete course with modules and everything. I was like, are you kidding me? Like,
that's powerful.
Probably a 2,000 word post and turned it into a micro course with modules and stuff that stood out, like certain data points. I'm like,
hey, Ross, are you listening and paying attention? My friend?
I sent it to him. And he sent me back an email and said, "Go." That's all he said. Like, hey, man, I was thinking you could just take it. And I thought, okay.
So the other thing is, as we're talking about, and it's worth telling him, those who follow this podcast know all my show notes are Gemini created. It all depends on the prompt. And Gemini's getting better and better, and they're getting even better. The one cool thing
probably
is
don't have to do much for that. Just drop the transcript and say, hey, I need to turn this into show notes.
If you use the right prompts, the cool thing with using the right prompts is it lets you repurpose content as well as write the content. So that's really cool. So it's making jobs like mine like way easier. I'm even playing around, and I'll tell you this now, is using prompts to create clips out of some of my podcasts. I'm doing it AI driven. So I'm not there yet.
I mean,
but
it makes remixing a little bit easier than it used to be. I like to say, when it comes to remixing, you are only limited by your own imagination because you can do so many different things.
So true. If you want to find more about Todd, go on over to copyfight.com. He's in the process of reworking his website, but it's that old story. It takes us people in the biz a little longer to rework their stuff. So,
think about calling on a copper.
Yeah, reach on out. Thanks, Todd. Have a great day, my friend. Bye-bye.
All right, have a good one.
This podcast has been brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, your digital marketing concierge to help the business owner put all his pieces together, whether it's email marketing, WordPress security, WordPress design and development, PPC, and more. Text Stunning Digital Marketing for all your digital marketing needs today. A very special thank you to Todd Jones for joining me on this edition of the SDM Show. The SDM Show is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much every day. My mother, Ann Cairns, who's still doing really well and is an inspiration. And, of course, Tiz Maroney. And Tiz, I know I've said it, but thank you so much for all the inspiration you give me every day.